Girivardhari Gopi Janava Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jai Nidhi Vishnu Vishnu Pada Paramahansa Parivrajaka Jaya Ashto Tarasata Shishi Mad His Divine Grace of High Charana Ravinda Bhaktanta Swamishra Prabhupada Ki ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Save the Whole World Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitila Vishnu Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Parivrajaka Charja Asto Tarasata Shishi Mad His Divine Grace of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Nama Charja Shaharidas Thakur Ki Premsaka Ho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Sadagora Bhaktivinoda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gokavadana Shamakunda Radha Kun Giri Govardhana Ki Brajbhumesha Vindama Dama Ki Navdip Mayapur Dama Ki Purushtam Chatra Jagannath Puri Dama Ki Ganga Mai Ki Jamuna Mai Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Tulasi Maharani Ki Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Oh, glorious is some glories. Oh, glorious is some glories. Oh, glorious is some glories. Oh, glorious, Lord, feet of Sri Guru and Sri Garanga. Oh, glorious to Sri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Oh, Vishnu Padaya. Vishnu Samadaya. Sri Madhya Samadaya. Oh, Vishnu Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yad Acharya Paravrito Yadacharya Paravrito Yadacharya Paravrito Grihamediya Karmasu Grihamediya Karmasu Grihamediya Karmasu Yadacharya Paravrito Grihamediya Karmasu Vayasyai Balakais Tatra Vayasyai Balakais Tatra Vayasyai Balakais Tatra Sopahuta Kritachana Sopahuta Kritachana Sopahuta Kritachana Vayasyai Balakaistatra Sopahuta Kritachana Yadacharya Paravrito Grihamediya Karmasu Vayasyai Balakaistatra Sopahuta Kritachana Yadacharya Paravrito Grihamediya Karmasu Vayasyar Balakaistatatra Sopahuta Kritachana Mediya Karmasu Vayasyai Balakaistatra Sopahuta Kritachanai Yadacharya Paravrito Yamediya Karmasu Vayasyai Balakaistatra Sopahuta Kritachanai Yadacharya Paravrito Grihamediya Karmasu Vayasyai Balakaistatra Sopahuta Kritachanai Yada when Acharya the teachers Paravrita became engaged Grihamediya of household life Karmasu in duties Vayasyai by his friends of the same age Balakai boys Tatra there Sa he Prahlad Maharaj Apahuta called Kritachana obtaining an opportune moment. Srila Prabhupada's translation and purport. When the teachers went home to attend to their household affairs, the students of the same age as Prahlad Maharaj would call him to take the opportunity of leisure hours for play. responsively, please. When the teachers went home to attend to their household affairs, the students of the same age as Prahlad Maharaj would call him to take the opportunity of leisure hours for play. Srila Prabhupada's purport. In tiffin hours, the hours when the teachers were absent from the classroom, the students called Prahlad Maharaj, wanting to play with him. As will be seen from the following verses, however, Prahlad Maharaj was not very much interested in playing. Instead, he wanted to utilize every moment for advancing in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, as indicated in this verse by the word krita chanai, at the opportune moment when it was possible to preach about Krishna consciousness, Prahlad Maharaj used the time as follows. So, very interesting verse, as we find that most verses in the Bhagavatam are very, very interesting. There's several important words in this verse which help us to really understand, firstly, the nature of the teachers, because we see that there's two words that are used to refer to Grihastha ashram. One is Grihastha and one is Griha Medi. So a Grihastha is one who utilizes their time to execute Krishna consciousness, whereas a Griha Medi is one who uses their time in sense gratification. And so we see here the word is Griha, where is it? Griha Mediya. So they're using, it's indicating that Sunda and Amaka were actually Griha Medis, meaning that they were utilizing all their time for sense gratification. And not only were they utilizing their time for sense gratification, they were also teaching the children that this is the best use of time. And we see this is the case in modern society. I was just reflecting. I've just come from Villaggio Hare Krishna, and where we had GBC meetings, and one evening we were staying in a nearby hotel because the temple only has a few guest rooms, so many of the leaders were staying in a nearby hotel. One evening while I was there, I had a few rounds to finish, so I went for a long walk. And I noticed that halfway along on the walk there was a whole bunch of youth, teenage children, and they were just sort of hanging around the shops, just kind of up to no good, just making fun of each other, harassing people as they walk past, things like that, and so. You can see from things like that the children are misdirected. They don't have any clear concept of what the purpose of life is. They're thinking that the purpose of life is to eat, sleep, drink, enjoy, be merry, mate, defend, all that sort of stuff. Just to have a good time, as they call it. But actually, we see. And this is being demonstrated here by Prahlad Maharaj, this is actually not the goal of life. But because living entities are confused about what the purpose of life is, therefore they experience so much suffering and distress in this material world, because they don't realize that the purpose of the human form of life is to develop our God consciousness. There's a very interesting verse in the beginning of the Vedanta Sutra, it says, Tato Brahma Jigyasa. Therefore, now you have the human form of life, you should use this to inquire about dharma, about what is the duty of the human form of life. This is Brahma Jigyasa. You should understand what is Brahman. And as we know, Brahman has three features. It can indicate the material nature, it can indicate the living entity, can also indicate the Para-Brahman, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so this is the purpose of the human form of life, is to understand these different activities, these different duties or understandings. And we also see in this canto, it's interesting because the beginning of this canto, in the cover pages of each volume, they have a verse or not a dedication, but a verse sort of encapsulating the canto. And for the seventh canto, it's a very wonderful verse spoken by Prahlad Maharaj, where he says, Komara Acharya Pragyo Dhammam Bhagavatamaham Durabam Manasam Jamma Tadapiya Dhruvam Artadam. That one who's achieved the human form of life, which is very rarely achieved, Prahlad Maharaj thought, it's very, very rare. If you look at how many living entities there are, total number, and compare it to how many human beings there are, we can understand that this human form is very rare. So Prahlad Maharaj is saying, he says, Durabam, this Duraba means very rare. Manusajanma, this human birth, very rare. Therefore, one should use this human form of life. And he says, Komara Atira Pragya. So Komara means like a child, 5 years old. And he says, so we should use this human form of life right from the tender age of childhood, from the point of 5 years old, to do what? To understand Dharma, Bhagavatam, Dharma, to understand Dharma. What is the human form of life? And also we see in the Hitopadesh, there's another interesting verse. Hitopadesh is like, I guess, like the Vedic version of Aesop's fables. It sort of tells different stories to demonstrate important philosophical truths. And there it says, Ahara nidra bhaya maitaram samanyeta pashabhisamana dhamena hina pashabhisamana. I can't remember the whole verse, but essentially what the verse is saying, that the activities of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending are common to both men and animals. And the human form of life is not meant just for these things. The human life is Dhamman Bhagavatamiha. It's meant to actually understand Dharma. And what does Dharma mean? Bhagavatamiha. Certainly this Dharma is only meant to be focused on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then the Hitopadesh goes on to explain that if we don't use this human form of life to practice Dharma, Pashabhi Samana, then actually the human form of life is the same as an animal life. And so this is what we see is happening in modern society. Just like I mentioned, these children I came upon the other day, or the youths, not really children, they're kind of like, in that teenage years before adulthood. They're just hanging around the streets, like hoping some girl will come along, or maybe, to try and entice the girl to enjoy with them, or maybe they wind up having fighting amongst each other, or just eating, sleeping, mating, defending. That's all they're interested in. And because the parents are not capable of directing them in any meaningful way, therefore they have no idea what is the purpose of life. The parents have no idea, and the children have no idea. And this is why this Krishna consciousness movement is so important, because the Krishna consciousness movement helps us to understand what is the purpose of life. And we see that this is really clearly demonstrated in this verse, because we see the words in the last line, the last two words, Krita Chanai. So this Chana, there's a verse in the fifth chapter, the third chapter, fifth verse, where, how's that verse go? I was looking at it before. Let me see if I find it. Sorry, I've just forgotten the verse. Nahi kashit chanamapi jatuchista ikamakrit kayate kavasa kama savai prakari jahikunai. So this chanamapi, chana means like a moment. It can also relate to time. And so this krita means like, krita chanai means like the opportune time has come. The right time has come. Essentially it means seize the moment, sort of thing. And so we see, like when the teachers go home for lunch, then the children are thinking, great, like all the non-devotees, they're thinking, great, now we can play. And so this is one meaning of this Krita Chanai, but then Prahlad Maharaj is saying, good, now I can speak about Krishna, now I can engage this moment in Krishna's service. And so we see that, the children, they want to just, play, they want to just, engage in essentially useless activities. But Prahlad Maharaj is seeing this is a good opportunity to speak about Krishna. We'll see, because there's 2 more verses in this chapter, and we'll see how Prahlad Maharaj, he sits down with his playmates, he starts to instruct them about Krishna consciousness. And because the children are not so contaminated by the teachers yet, and not so contaminated by the influence of the modes of material nature, they sit there with rapt attention, listening to Prahlad Maharaj talk about Krishna. And so this is also giving us a wonderful instruction here, in that if we seriously want to become Krishna conscious, if we seriously want to give up our attachment for the things in the material world, Prahlad Maharaj is showing us how to do it. He's giving a wonderful example, showing that if we simply utilize all our time in the service of the Lord, every spare moment we have, if we utilize that in the service of the Lord, then we'll become purified. The material desires will be dissipated, and will become fixed in Krishna consciousness. There's a nice verse in the 9th chapter of the Gita, which says, Satatam kirtiyantamam yatantas chadradabhrataha namashant namashanta chamam nityam, I think. Namashanta, how's it go? Sorry, my memory is just playing up today. Namasyantas chamam bhaktya nitya yukta rupashate. So it's explaining that Krishna is explaining to Arjuna that the always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination. So this is this position of an advanced devotee, bowing down before me. These great souls perpetually. So perpetual. It means they don't stop. Perpetual means it just goes on and on and on and on, never stops. And so we see this is the example given by great souls, is they're perpetually engaged in the service of Krishna. So Prahlad Maharaj is showing us by his personal example that if we want to become Krishna conscious, if we want to overcome the influence of the modes of material nature, then we need to use every moment of our time in the service of Krishna. And even if we struggle with that, because we have strong conditionings. We all have these strong conditionings from many, many lifetimes of existence in this material world. But and we may find it troublesome to try to utilize our time fully for Krishna's service. But we can pray. We can pray to the Lord. We can pray to great souls like Prahlad Maharaj. These pastimes where Prahlad Maharaj is demonstrating such a high level of devotional service, we can use this as an opportunity to offer prayers to Prahlad Maharaj. Please, my dear Prahlad Maharaj, please bless me that I can follow in your footsteps. Please bless me that I can practice devotional service in the same way that you have practiced devotional service. And please bless me that I can please Krishna the way that you have pleased Krishna. Please bless me, I can become protected by the Lord in the same way that you've been protected by the Lord. So these pastimes are very, very wonderful opportunities for us to deepen our practice of bhakti, to go deeper in our practice, but also to be reflective on our shortcomings in devotional service and pray to the personality, pray to the Lord to please help me to overcome this. And also now we see the month of Kartik has begun, and Kartik is a good time for performing different bratas, but is also a very good time to again become immersed in remembrance of the Lord. And we see every day we sing this the song Namamishwaram Satchidananda Rupam, and the idea here is to utilize our time in remembering Krishna's wonderful pastimes. And this description here with Prahlad Maharaj, because we can see, in this chapter and in the subsequent chapters, how Hiranyakashipu has tortured his son and tried to kill his son, and verbally abused him, physically abused him, so many different ways that Hiranyakashipu has mistreated his son. Yet Prahlad has remained fixed in his vow, fixed in his practice of devotional service. And in the end, we see how Nrisimha, because of his love for Prahlad, and this is the motivation here, is because Prahlad has such deep focus, deep determination to serve Krishna and to please Krishna, then naturally his love is awoken. Naturally his love for Krishna has become very, very strong. And as a result of this love, we see how Nrisimha is actually controlled by Prahlad Maharaj. Even though he's such a big, fearsome form of the Lord, how the devotee's love completely controls him. And we'll see this, when Nrisimha appears and he kills Hiranyakashipu and all his demon associates, then he's sitting on Hiranyakashipu's throne, which is actually Indra's throne, and then the Dev, he's sitting there, he's so angry, he's roaring, and the Devatas, they're so scared, all the personalities there who come to offer respects to Nrisimha are so scared. So they ask Prahlad to go forward, please, you go forward, because they're aware of Prahlad's love for Nrisimha and how Nrisimha loves Prahlad, but because they don't have this same feeling towards the Lord, because they actually, as was mentioned yesterday, the Devatas, they're what are known as Kama Mishra Bhaktas, meaning that they are devotees, but their devotion is mixed, and because of this mixture, they're unable to fully take shelter of Krishna. So it's the same for us. We don't take full shelter of Krishna because we have mixed desires. We still think that there's actually something of value in this material world, something we can enjoy in this material world. But we see with someone like Prahlad Maharaj, he saw that there was no value in this material world whatsoever. He didn't see that there's anything that he could, get from this material world. There's no enjoyment to be extracted from this material world. He was convinced of that. And he was convinced that the only satisfaction would come in service to Krishna. So, therefore, because of this conviction, because of his determination not to waste any time trying to exploit this material world, therefore we see he had such deep love for Krishna, because he understood the only useful purpose of my life, the only useful purpose of my time is to use every moment in the service of Krishna. And this is, for us, should serve as a great inspiration that this is what my life is for. My life is ultimately for serving Krishna. My life is for pleasing Krishna. And when we read these pastimes, if we pray to Prahlad Maharaj, if we pray to Nrisimha to please give me this same conviction, then we'll find in due course of time that this will start to awaken in our hearts, and we'll become more and more deeply attached to the service of Krishna. Okay, I'll finish there. Any questions at all? Any comments? Nothing at all? You can see that this pastime, it really does clearly demonstrate the difference between a materialistic person and a transcendentalist. Because a materialistic person, every moment, they'll look, how can I enjoy this moment? Either they'll engage in sense gratification, they'll engage in taking intoxication, sleeping, and sex, whatever. And this Prabhupada quotes this verse, Kutumba Varanenava, where it's describing the business of a Griha maid. They spend their whole day working to make money because they want to use that money in enjoyment. And at night time they have two activities, sleeping and sex life. That's it. That's the whole focus of their life. Whereas devotee, very different. Devotee uses every moment of every day simply for the satisfaction of Krishna, simply to serve Krishna. How can I please my Lord? I mean, I find myself in this particular situation. How can I use this situation to please Krishna? How can I use this time gainfully in Krishna's service? And so this is a very important lesson or something for us to learn here from the Bhagavatam, because we see how Prahlad Maharaj is setting a wonderful example. And the reason many of these pastimes are here in the Bhagavatam, well, the main reason is for us to inspire us in our Krishna consciousness and to guide us how to become better devotees. And this should be our constant prayer, is how can I serve you, my Lord? How can I serve you better? Because at least I can talk from my own position. I'm not satisfied at all with my level of surrender to Krishna. I'm not satisfied with my service to Krishna. I know if I could stop being distracted by the material nature, that my service would be more pleasing to Krishna. And constantly being distracted by so many different things. And this is our goal, is to give up this distraction and just use whatever time I have in this world for the pleasure of Krishna. And in this way we become completely purified and become free from all material desires and all these things that are distracting us. Okay, I'll finish it there. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki, Jai Nitai Go Premanandi. Hare Krishna, So you record these?